You heard the term software architect, but what does that actually mean? Do you want to be a software architect? In this video, I'm going to explain what a software architect does and whether or not you have what it takes to become one. Hey guys, my name is Caleb King. I'm a software engineer, and this role, software architect, is something a lot of people come to me and they say, hey, what's the roadmap to become an architect? It's a good question to have, and I want to actually go into detail what an architect does and explain to you everything you probably need to know if you want to pursue this job. This video is sponsored by Loom.com. You guys heard me say it before. I hate email. They're too long, it's too slow, and when you can just record your screen, speak into the microphone, and explain what it is you're trying to do, what it is you're trying to explain, Loom is a perfect solution. It works for your desktop and mobile. Use the link in the description below. You're gonna get unlimited creator seats, unlimited video, unlimited recording length, transcriptions, closed captioning, filler word removal. You can be a content creator, you can be using it for your professional environment. Loom.com is a great tool to not only improve your communication within the workplace, but improve your communication outside the workplace. So what is software architecture? Let's break that down first. Software architecture is difficult to succinctly define because it's a constantly moving target. But the way I like to think about it, the goal for an architect is to know what's available and where or how it fits into your ecosystem. They can help by analyzing and rolling out things, thereby eliminating options and narrowing the focus. So in some ways, cloud offerings, AWS, GCP, they made their jobs a lot easier, but there's new things, new products these platforms are rolling out, which is now making their job a little bit harder. But software architecture is simply the organization of a system. And this organization includes all the components, how they interact with each other, the environment in which they operate, and the principles used to design the software. So in many cases, it can also include the evolution of software into the future. Now you might be asking, what is a software architect? Software architect, in my opinion, they really make high-level design choices and frame technical standards. This might include tools, software coding standards, or a platform to be used. To be effective, a software architect needs broad and deep technical knowledge to make good decisions. However, don't get it twisted. You need more than just technical knowledge. It's not enough. You need to have the soft skills along with the hard skills. You need to be able to communicate with developers, communicate with stakeholders, communicate with fellow architects. You are just one piece in a very large scheme of things. And as an architect, you need to be able to navigate those waters. So a few overall responsibilities of an architect is you're going to be defining the blueprint. You're going to be helping with the technology selection, and you have to be wary of hype. Let me give you an example. Just because Apple released Swift as a programming language one year doesn't mean you abandon Objective-C within the first 6 months to switch over to Swift. You have to be the one smart enough to understand what are the pros and cons of making a switch today. You have to consider cost. Cost feasibility is the thing. Personnel, tools, licensing, infrastructure. You also have to recognize potential reuse in the organization, and you have to make sure certain applications work hand in hand. You have to be able to communicate with DevOps, cloud team, your development team, your product owners, your project managers, your stakeholders. Like, you're literally a man in the middle in some ways, and also not. You are observing and understanding a broader system, and you're trying to create the components and trying to make these components work with one another. But let's talk about what software architects are not. They are not super senior developers. The title is often used as a promotional rank at many organizations, but it's just not the right way to frame it. The way I like to look at it is architect job is to guide, not dictate or mandate. They're not developer managers, they're not bosses, but what I'm trying to get at is usually architects, even though they're not the direct boss, they have a certain level of influence. Now some people, depending on where you work, you might ask the question, architect versus staff engineer versus software engineer. Look, titles can get messy in tech. They're really more for HR. They're less for people who just want to build cool things. But I'll break it down anyway. The staff engineer, in my experience, is usually just an experienced engineer, individual contributor within an organization. The key difference between a software architect and a software engineer is that the former focuses on the design of the system and the processes, while the software engineer focuses more on the technical implementation. Now, there's no one kind of staff engineer, and I know depending on where you work, you might think a architect and a staff engineer are one and the same. You might think your tech lead slash team lead slash staff engineer slash architect is all one and the same. My advice, don't get caught up on titles, but understand what is expected from you and the role that you are fulfilling. Some architects haven't written code in years. Others might be doing system designs with coding and implementation on a daily basis. It all just depends on the organization. Now, there are different types of architects: enterprise architect, solution/system architects, technical architects, data information architects, business functional architect, infrastructure architects. Again, understand what the role is. At an enterprise, you're going to be highly abstracted. You're going to be working across multiple projects, across multiple departments within the organization. Whereas as a solution architect, you might be focused on one particular solution. And a technical architect might focus on a single project. And a data one might focus on information, how it moves across the system. Again, it all depends what you're being asked. But regardless of the type of architect, here are some of the skills that usually you're going to need if you want to be an architect. You got to understand unified modeling languages, UML. You got to have a deep knowledge, at least of one programming language. It could be anything. Java, JavaScript, Python, doesn't really matter. But usually if you're going to be an architect in the tech industry, you got to at least know one language, like the back of your hand. And then you also have to manage software development practices in a collaborative way. You have to usually, in 2022, have to at least have some basic understanding of DevOps. Because of the cloud, because of the nature of software today, if you don't understand anything about the cloud or DevOps, you're probably not going to do very well in the architect role. Just my opinion. And some of the soft skills I think get overlooked is leadership, coaching, organization, prioritization, but the two that I think get overlooked the most are creative thinking and communication. Most architects suck at communicating. They're not people. They don't have the soft skills. They weren't like big man on campus usually. And communication is a key ingredient to any leadership position. So to get the best out of teams, your software architect must clearly explain the mission, the deadlines, the expectations. And then like I said earlier, creative thinking. Software architects, they have to move the team forward, which means they have to overcome obstacles, they have to find solutions, they have to think outside the box way before the problem even comes to their attention. So they do have to be creative people. Now, you might be asking what they make. The average software architect, according to Glassdoor.com, about $134,000. Worst, probably 100. Best, maybe 300, 400, 500K. So really depends, but the average is 134. And the last question, do you need a degree? Usually, software architects will have a bachelor degree in computer science, information systems, software engineering, or some technical related field. However, software architect positions favor training and experience over a degree. So it is possible to work your way up into a software architect role coming from a boot camp, being self-taught. Just understand the road to get there might be a little bit harder, but this is where things like getting GCP certified, AWS certified, those types of things can separate you, where a degree just looks like a dumb piece of paper. But what did we miss? Did I get anything wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And did I convince you to become an architect? If you guys like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. That's all I got for you now. Tech out.